If you're buying at 20-25% below market value, you can pull most, if not all, of your money out. So this is the key, knowing how to do that, knowing how to buy at the right price, what that right price is, to refurbish that property, to then refinance it and make sure that you get the right valuation. It's really important that you learn it so that you maximize the profits you make from each property so you can go again. Hi everyone, I'm Katie Wilson and I've been in the property game now for coming up for 7 years. I'm a professional property investor and a national deal packager, which means that I find property deals for investors. I've got a national deal packaging business which generates me a nice 6-figure income per year, plus I've got my property portfolio which generates me a passive income. Thank you so much for the questions that you've sent in from various different contents that we've put out there. Today what we're going to do is a Q&A to answer your questions. I'm going to help you not only make money but save money as well. But before we get started, be sure to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. So we've had a question from VM, basically asking how you work out what the annual property appreciation rates are. It's really simple. A fantastic website which you can go to is landregistry.data.gov.uk, where you can find all of this information for not only your area but any other area in the UK, and it will give you the actual statistics. So leading on from that question, VM, about appreciation rates, it's really, really important to know your appreciation rates for your area. Why? Because you need to work out if property is going up, going down in value, or is it in between and about to pivot, which is sort of where we are at the moment. So if you know how much your property is going to appreciate by, you can work out how to do creative deals where you can make massive, massive profits. And this is where the skills as a deal packager really do come in. So I hope that helps. So what is deal packaging? Deal packaging in its most simple form is about finding a deal of value, and then finding an investor to buy that deal. And all we do is we simply sell that deal onto an investor and take a fee. We simply sell the contract in with no money in for us. If you have to get your purses or your wallets out, then you are doing it wrong. We have a question from Kyle James. Great video, thanks Kyle. How much would you need for a BRR deal from recent ones you've sold? So first of all, for BRR, buy, refurbish, refinance. We're not selling them. In theory, we're going to buy them cash, we're going to refurbish them to add the value, and then refinance them onto a long-term mortgage with the theory that we'll probably rent that out. Okay, so we want to pull as much money out as possible. Okay, so how much would you need? It depends where you are in the country. Property prices are different and vary in all different parts of the UK. So what you need to do is you need to have enough money to buy that house cash. Now you want to be buying it at a discount, also with opportunity to add value. So if you did it up and refurbished it, it should be worth more than what it's worth now. You also are going to need the money for the refurbishments. So taking into account in Nottingham to do a whole house, you're probably looking at a minimum of £20,000. So you need to take that money into account as well. So you need the money to buy and refurbish. Then you're going to need to refinance the property. Now to refinance the property, there's going to be some costs, quite minimal. You're probably going to need to pay for a mortgage broker to be able to do that for you, some valuation fees, maybe £1,500 to £2,000 to do that. So in addition, you're going to need that. Plus taking into account things like stamp duty, legals, etc. All of that is then going to help you to buy the house, refurbish the house, refinance the house onto a long-term mortgage, and then you can rent that house out. And the best thing about this is that you make profit from the rent, but not only profit from the rent, the appreciation for the property itself. So as the property goes up in value, you have the choice of whether you want to refinance that property and pull more money out, more equity. And you can use that money to go and buy more houses. Stephen Costello, how many properties do you own? It's a great question, Stephen. I only own 22 properties, so not the biggest portfolio in the world. Not the smallest either. It's a very strong portfolio, but here's the thing. As a deal packager, it is a fantastic strategy to do, but you are cursed, because what will happen is you will do deals where you get the choice of whether you want to package it on for massive cash flow or keep it for yourself and build your wealth. So what happens is you'll look at a deal, I'll look at a deal now and I'll go, okay, that property, if I keep it, it's going to make me about 6.5 grand gross profit a year. Or I can do something creative with it and make £40,000 here and now. No risk, no worry about interest rates, no worries about the economy, no worries about tenants. And this is the thing about deal packaging. So what happens is, as a deal packager, you will probably sell more properties than you'll keep. So I only have 22, but it is growing. But I'm very, very picky with what I put in my portfolio. Thinking back to the first property I ever bought to potentially either keep for myself or package on as a deal packager was this property here. It was found through an estate agent. It was agreed at £65,000. Now, at the time that this deal was done, the property was worth £100,000. Now, this property is my style of property in my area, so it's perfect. It met my criteria for me to want to put it in my portfolio. However, I couldn't put it in my portfolio because at the time I did this deal, I was brand new to deal packaging and I didn't have the money to buy it. So what I did was I packaged it onto an investor. So I sold it, took a fee, and then I used that money to save up the deposits so I could start my own portfolio. Since then, I have now I've got 22 properties in total. If you think about my first 10, which came pretty easy, I bought those properties at massive, massive discount. And then what I did was bought them at discount, refurbished them, refinanced them, pulled a load of money out and used that money to either buy the next one cash or buy a couple on deposit. And the great thing about being a deal packager is that you acquire the skills to be able to do creative deals so that you don't need as much money in as you may think. And people say that you cannot get all of your money out. I completely disagree. Now, in this market, it's more of a challenge. However, I still do it very consistently. I'm buying houses. I think I bought my first one for £105,000. That's probably now worth about 150, 155. That one was refinanced about 125, 130. So I pulled quite a lot of money out. You can work out the numbers based on that. The second one I bought for 85,000. That's probably worth 160, 170 now. That has been refinanced for 120. And basically the theory is that I bought them at massive, massive discount. So in theory, if you're buying at 20, 25% below market value, and I mean genuinely below market value, you can pull most, if not all of your money out. So this is the key, knowing how to do that, knowing how to buy at the right price, what that right price is, to be able to then have the skills to refurbish that property, to get that to the right standard, to then refinance it and make sure that you get the right valuation is all stuff that you can learn. And it's really important that you learn it so that you maximize the profits you make from each property so you can go again. So I hope that answers your question. So Kevin Philippe, hi Kevin. Your majestic video is very valuable, Katie Wilson. P.S. It was sublime meeting you at Masopi live last weekend. So Masopi, for those of you who don't know, is a multiple streams of property income event. That is an event where you can learn all the different ways that you can make money in property. And there I met Kevin. So I remember you, Kevin. It was great to meet you. If you want to get into property and start learning how you can make money, then you need to download our free report. It's my gift to you, and you can download that. The link is in the description below. So forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, Erin Maselli. I love your videos, been following for months now, true gems, you're 100% genuine. Thanks, babe. Yeah, I just say it as it is. The reality is, people, you will watch me, some of you'll love me, some of you will hate me. I am what I am. For those of you who love me, keep watching. For those of you who hate me, well, you can keep watching as well because you're clearly watching. Okay, so Rab J has made more of a statement than asked a question. No money down is a scam. Certainly not a method that's feasible to the everyday Joe Public who has no track record in property. Absolutely no reason why an investor would come along and hand Joe Public, who isn't established in property, his or her hard-earned money to pay Joe a fee for the privilege. In my years in property, I haven't seen it. Now I'm sure there are a select few with more money than sense who might dip into their pockets and give you, Joe, their cash in hopes of a return. But I'd imagine it doesn't happen very often and not something I'd be comfortable with. Okay, so there's quite a lot of mistakes in your thought process here, Rab. So first of all, no money down is absolutely not a scam. Certainly not a method that is feasible to the everyday Joe. Okay, well, I can vouch for the thousands of people that do no money down. Now, that is not my strategy, but I can vouch for thousands of people that have done no money down techniques and made a lot of profit from that. But I'm not going to comment any more on no money down because that's not what I specialize in. But what I can tell you is the bit that you've linked to saying no reason why an investor would come along and hand Joe Public, who isn't established in property, his hard-earned money to pay a fee for the privilege. That's absolutely incorrect. So first of all, you don't have to have a track record in property to be a deal packager. And the key is, and I'm just going to say this as it is, whether you like it or not, if you've got a genuine deal and an investor likes the numbers on that deal, they don't care if you've got no track record. They care if you've got a deal and if that deal is going to make them money. It's as simple as that. So that is a misconception. In my many years in property, I haven't seen it. Well, I think in reality, that's not correct. I'm sure there are a select few who have more money than sense and might dip into their pockets in hopes of a return. But I'd imagine this doesn't happen very often. Well, Rab, I have created a national deal packaging business. So I don't know if you're referring to no money down or deal packaging, but I know people who do no money down techniques. And I am a deal packager who has also trained and worked with thousands of people who do deal packaging. Let me tell you, it does happen often. It has to, because the lifestyle that I lead is from deal packaging. I live in a £3 million house. I have a nice lifestyle. That has all come from deal packaging. So it's a misconception, Rab. You may have been burnt at some point, and I'm sorry, things can go wrong in property. But the reality is if you work with the right people, it can be very, very rewarding. Pocket fella. Again, more of a statement than a question. When the Labour Party gets in power, they will put in place a rent cap to stop parasites living off other humans. Pocket fella, clearly you've got your mindset absolutely bang on there. The reality is, I believe that at some point rent caps will come in. And guess what? Us true educated property investors will know exactly how to handle that and how to work around that so that we make sure that we still make profit as landlords stroke property investors. And I'm sorry if that upsets you. You can sit there and be negative and watch other people make a ton of money doing it, or you can join us. And when I say join us, I don't mean join us as parasites living off other humans. I mean creating win-win situations where we help people and make a shit ton of money while we're doing it. So Adam Black, 2023 to 2024 will be the last time you see housing under six figures ever again. Bye, bye, bye. I think, the reality is, and I'll just say this, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen. But what I do know is property is appreciating. So even if we have a crash, even if we have a dip, which we will have at some point, it will recover. So rather than wait to buy property and wait. Property is like a haircut. If you make a bad investment, it will grow out because it will grow in value. It appreciates in value. And this is the most amazing thing. I've been in property now coming up for 7 years. My property portfolio owes me no money to me personally, because all of those houses have appreciated so massively since I've acquired them that I've managed to refinance and pull all of my money out. So this is a great reason why to get into property and why to do it now. In my professional opinion, there has never been a better time to get into property than where we are right now. So we've had a question, where to find the property where the owner cannot afford to pay the mortgage? Okay, so as deal packagers, we do one of two things. We need to look for a problem property or a person with a problem. Okay, now the mistake I see so many people make is that they go out to their own area and they advertise we buy houses. And they're basically blanketing their area. So let's say they ask 1,000 people if they want to sell their house. You're going to get a lot of no's because you're going to get a lot of people who don't need to sell their house, don't want to sell their house, don't own their house. But what if you could ask 1,000 people that you know need to sell their house because you've got the inside line, you've got that knowledge before you even target them to market to them and get genuine leads in? Do you think if you ask 1,000 people that you've targeted, knowing they need to sell their house, do you think you're going to get more yeses? I can tell you the answer to that. It's a yes. So this is the key, targeted marketing. Can you please tell me which website you use for house valuations? Okay, so this is not a quick answer, but what I will tell you is I use Rightmove. So I use Rightmove, I look at sold properties that have actually sold, not sold subject to contract, but historically sold. And I am looking for properties using Rightmove as my tool because Rightmove has accurate data which is pulled from the land registry, but also it has photos, so I know I'm comparing like for like. So there's my tip to you. Mr. Gladstone has made more of a statement than asked a question. Speaking from my long experience, beware of the nutty next door neighbour. No one estate agent has ever warned me, Brighton Eastbourne area. If it has not sold in a desirable area, there is likely an issue. I think that if you've got a lot of experience, you will know that you are imprinting your own expectation on what the problem may be. And the key is to finding out what that actual problem is. Making an assumption that if something hasn't sold, then there's a problem. If it hasn't sold, there is a problem that you might be able to solve and actually make money and create a win-win situation. So having that attitude is not going to help you. So Uma has sent in a question. I cannot afford 25% deposit to start my first buy-to-let investment. However, it is too risky to refinance my own residential mortgage. I've got a solution for you, Uma. It's called deal packaging. So deal packaging is simply you going out and finding valuable deals, finding investors, selling that deal onto an investor and taking massive, massive chunks of cash as a fee for doing that. And what you can do is a couple of different things. You can either save up your fees and the profits that you make to reinvest in property, or you can learn how to do this properly so that you know all the creative ways that you can acquire deals, meaning you need less money in. So less than your typical 25% deposit. I don't put 25% deposits down on mine. You can learn how to do that too. To buy a property with a limited company, will they still credit check the owner? When you're buying in a limited company, a buy-to-let investment property, what the lender wants to know is that that property can wash its face, as they say, and make profit. If it can do that, then the lender is normally happy. However, having said that, they do have a minimum criteria. Normally, and last time I checked, it was about a minimum of £25,000 a year as an income separate from portfolio income to be able to host that mortgage, because what's actually happening is the mortgage is hosted by the limited company on the investment property, but 9 times out of 10 the mortgage company will ask the investor, the owner of the limited company, the director of the limited company, to host a personal guarantee, which means that if that limited company liquidated, the investor would be personally liable for that debt. So to make sure that the mortgage still gets paid. So in answer to your question, it's a bit of a yes and a no answer. Most importantly, they need to know that the property is going to make profit. So I've really enjoyed answering all your questions today. If you've got any more questions or you want to challenge me, send some more questions through and I'll do another video just like this one. What I do notice is there is a theme with these questions. You're asking questions that aren't as a result of you taking action. And that's exactly what you need to do if you want to change your life and get into property and start making massive amounts of money. In order to do that, you can download our free report. It's my gift to you. The link is in the description below. I've been Katie Wilson. Be sure to follow me on my next video. But in order to do that, you need to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'll see you in the next video.